Hi everyone, welcome to All About You. I'm sure that many of you have already heard about that passage that says that all things work together for the good of those who love God. But unfortunately, many Christians who say that they believe in these words, not all things are working together for their good. On the opposite, many things are working together for something bad to happen in their lives. Many things have been working together so that they may be weaker, spiritually speaking, so that they may be sad or depressed or anxious, or many things are working together so that they may give up even on themselves, on their faith. How can it be? How is it possible? I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to illustrate to make it easier with an example. I'm sure that many of you are also familiar with a game called Connecting the Dots. I used to play this game when I was younger and I really enjoyed it. We always wanted to find out what would the picture that by connecting one dot to another, which picture we are going to arrive at. Some of them are very easy for us to figure out what is going to be the outcome or what kind of picture it's going to be. Some others are more complicated and we only get to the point of finding out what it really is towards the very end. And it's not different in life. It's actually the very same thing. How many situations, especially the hard ones, we don't understand why this is happening to us. Why is it that when we decide to use our faith in God, to fight for our families, to see a change in our lives, instead of seeing things happening and progressing, things start getting worse? Or why is it that God allows us to go through some hard moments or to receive so many bad news? Or why is it that He allowed us to go through an injustice? Perhaps you lost something because of an injustice. You lost your job because somebody badmouthed you, somebody said something bad about you, and you wonder, why would God allow that to happen to me? Isn't it? So it's easier for us to connect the dots for something good, to see a good outcome of a situation when something good is happening to us. Someone is helping you, someone is teaching you, someone is patient with you. Someone is always with you, or you receive a great opportunity in life to grow, to develop. So it's easier for you to figure out that the outcome is going to be great out of that. But when the hard moments come, it's not that easy. And sometimes it actually feels like, I'm going to turn to this camera here because it's easier to show how sometimes when we face certain moments in life, it feels like our puzzle in life is more or less like this. Can you see? Can you have an idea of what this picture will be like at the very end? Very hard, isn't it? Only to see it, we already feel tired, right? We don't feel even like enthusiastic to start the puzzle. It has more than 1,000 dots in here. And many times this is what happens in life. There are so many dots and we have no idea where they are leading us to. Sometimes you feel tired. Sometimes you feel like giving up. How can you find out if the end of this puzzle or this picture is going to be something good or something bad in your life? You know that physically speaking, like humanly speaking, if, for example, two people receive the very same sheet of paper with the dots, put in the very same place, at the end, when they connect all the dots, what is going to happen? They're going to come up with the very same picture, isn't it? But spiritually speaking, it's different. It's very different. Actually, you can be given the very same situation, the very same hard moment, the very same desert as someone else. But your outcome may not be the same as the outcome of someone else. And it all depends on how you've been connecting those dots. If you choose to connect these dots with the help of God, the outcome will be one. If you choose to connect these dots with the help of the devil, the outcome is going to be completely different. How can you know how you have been connecting the dots? You have to pay attention to your reactions, to what you say when you go through those situations. Like, for example, you go through a hard moment in your family and you don't see the results that you want to see. What do you start doing? Do you start murmuring, complaining? Do you feel like giving up? Do you start throwing the towel and saying things, lashing out on people and saying that you're not going to believe in God anymore and you're going to abandon everything? How is it that you react when you go through a moment that you don't understand? Like, for example, you've been through an injustice. How do you react? You see, this happened to me because this person doesn't like me, and because of this situation, I'm never gonna be happy again. It's over for me. You know, I've been through this, I lost this, I'll never get it back. So you're connecting the dots of this situation in your life with the help of the devil. Of course, the outcome of this is going to be something bad. You could be, enjoying yourself in these moments in the sense of learning something, learning more about yourself, getting closer to God, but instead you start becoming very sad. So what kind of picture you're going to find at the end? Many people, all they can find is sadness, right? Sadness, that's all they can see. But these dots were there already, and of course it meant that at the end sadness will appear. Not necessarily. Spiritually speaking, God can transform everything, any situation. That's what He means by all things work together for our good. Many of you have already heard about that expression that says that when life gives you lemons, then you make a nice, wonderful lemonade. But when the moment comes, nobody wants to turn those lemons into lemonade, right? They just, suck that lemon and become bitter. That's what they do. You know that even in the Bible, I'm going to give, just to finalize the message today, 2 different examples and the outcome, how it was. The first example is about the people of Israel when they were delivered from Egypt, from captivity, right? They were in the hands of the Egyptians. They were there suffering, and God delivered them in such a great way. If you read there in Exodus in the Bible, you're going to see how great was that deliverance from the hands of their enemies. So what was the purpose of God when He took them out of there? To make them die? So He delivered them after the 10 plagues in the desert, those amazing things that happened, just to kill them in the desert? Of course not. God wanted to lead them to a promised land, to a new life. But what happened to them? In every single obstacle that they faced, they started complaining. They started murmuring. They started to lash out on Moses. So how many times people as well complain to the pastors? They are angry at the pastor, angry at the assistants. They're angry at God. They complain a lot. And that's the reason why the picture at the end of their lives is the picture of sadness, of destruction. These people that were complaining all the time, connecting the dots with the devil, they ended up dying in the desert. But that was not the picture that God wanted for them. Now I'm going to give you a totally different approach of someone who ended up seeing a totally different picture at the end of these connecting dots. It's the example of Joseph. Joseph went through a lot of injustice in his life. Joseph, he didn't do anything wrong to deserve what his brothers did to him. His brothers sold him as a slave. He ended up in Egypt, and he went through a lot in life. Then when he was there working for a new master, then his wife, the wife of his master, wanted to sleep with him. And he didn't want to do that because he didn't want to displease God. He wanted to be faithful to God, even though he went through an injustice, even though he was in that situation because of an injustice. Humanly speaking, he was there because of what his brothers did to him. But still, he did not abandon his faith. Still, even though he did not understand why God allowed him to go through that, he chose to trust. He chose to be faithful to God, still in that situation. So what happened to him? God honored him at the very end. He had no idea that everything, of course, you have to read the story of Joseph for you to find out everything, because he went through a lot. He went through a lot of situations in his life. But it's so wonderful to see that even though he faced all of that, he chose to hang on to his faith in God. And he kept on going from dot to dot until God put him in a position of authority over the whole Egypt. There was a great famine in the land, and everyone would die if it was not for Joseph. God used him not only to deliver the people of Egypt from hunger, but to deliver the people of Israel. The entire nation of Israel, the entire nation of God was set free because he chose to connect the dots with God. He chose to trust in him, even though he had no idea. Probably he trusted that God would help him, or God would be there for him, or God would be there to maybe give him strength to overcome all those things, or to remain strong in his faith. But I don't really think that he knew fully and entirely God's plans for not only his life, but for the entire nation of Israel. God used him in such a way. And when he revealed his identity to his brothers who thought he even had died or something happened to him, something terrible happened to him. So when he revealed his identity, his brothers were afraid. Oh no, now he has power. With this power, the minimum he would do is to have a revenge, to do something really bad towards us. But what really calls my attention is when Joseph, when he turned to his brother, what he said was actually like doing this, like revealing the entire picture of what God wanted to do in his life and through his life to his brothers. I'm going to read with you now. But now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. This is Joseph talking to his brothers. For God sent me here before you to preserve life. For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has made me a father to Pharaoh. So now you can see here, as Joseph was talking to his brothers, you can see the outcome, the picture that God wanted Joseph to arrive at. Because he chose to trust in God, to be faithful to God, to hold on to his faith in the hard moments of his life, even in times where he did not understand why God allowed him to go through that. At the end, he was able to turn to his brothers and say, it wasn't you. It wasn't you who brought me here. It was God. God allowed me to go through this because he wanted to deliver you and the whole nation. God was the one who brought me here. But have you been telling yourself that? Do you believe that this situation that you are going through, it is for God's glory in your life? Do you believe that the outcome of this situation, it is for God's glory, for a transformation, for your growth, for something that you will achieve? Perhaps you can't see it right now. But if you choose to believe, you will see it. Everyone who believes, let me rephrase it, everyone who chooses to believe, they will see a different picture in their lives. There will always be a difference between those who believe and those who don't. It doesn't matter if they face the very same situation. The outcome is in your hands. It really depends on how you have been connecting the dots. And this is our message for all of you today. I would like to thank all of you for being here with us. And I also advise you and encourage you to think about that, to analyze yourself and see how you have been dealing with the hard moments in your life. How have you been connecting the dots? Perhaps you're already about to give up, or you're already given up. And that's why the picture in your life is the way it is. But things can change around. It can. With God, it will never be over. You're still alive, so there's still a chance for you to start over again with Him. So this is all for today. Thank you so much once again for joining us, and see you here next week with another topic. Bye-bye, ladies.